I'm Rich Nemec, and I'm with Rolta International. I am the president of the Oracle Consulting for the Americas, and I'm here at the event just to find more about innovation, see some of the great speakers that you guys have here. I mean, this is one of the best conferences you'll have in Chicago, so I'm happy to be here and a sponsor as well. I think one of the best things that happens here is you're bringing people from industry, you're bringing people from government, you're bringing all those technology leaders across Chicago here, and the reason why that's very, very important is because if you don't innovate, you're going to die.
I'm Mrinalini Lakshminarayanan, the Technology Chair for Government Technology Foundation. I'm here to present the great things that the Technology Committee is doing to make the government a world-class center for technology. By promoting new innovations, women innovators, young innovators, and also promoting organizations in terms of how they are contributing to innovation. Additionally, we are also providing a platform for collaboration and sharing of best practices across different organizations to grow innovation within government.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Herrera Lindstrom. I'm Chief Information Officer at University of Illinois at Chicago, and I am here at the invitation of Poonam. We became aware of it through an invitation to participate in the panel, and I'm delighted to be here and to learn more about this organization. We do innovation, so this is what the universities do. They find new ways of doing things, and it would be wonderful to share it with the taxpayers that fund our research. We have wonderful ways of visualizing data, for example. And there are some partnerships at a small scale, but it would be wonderful to have them at a very large scale and see how we can improve government, make it more efficient, and at the same time providing government as a research opportunity for the researchers in the university.
My name is Ann Kalile, and I'm here as a community person supporting Poonam in her efforts. I also want to let people know that we're going to be having an event. This is United States General Services Administration and SBA on April 10th, and it's going to be a government seminar for small businesses, asking and showing small businesses how to do work with the federal government. We're going to have the Dean of the University of Chicago Business School, Sunil Kumar, along with SBA and GSA, showing how to do effectively work with the federal government. So much of what small businesses do is actually generate a thriving economy. And so Government Technology Foundation would be a great venue in which small businesses can understand how to go through the complexities of doing business with the federal government.
Hi, I'm Bridget Dancy. I'm the Chief Information Officer for the Clerk of the Circuit Court in Cook County. I'm actually one of the board members at Government Technology Foundation. I got involved through an invitation through Ellen Turner based on the years of experience that we've been working together, and hopefully we're looking for great things to happen within GTF. So the purpose of the reason why this is so important is having been a government employee for over 25 years, especially at the level that I am now, it's important that government, along with vendors, academia, all get together and figure out a way how we could resolve some of the issues that are facing us with the technology, because we're in this world together. So we're hoping that this committee would allow us to move forward, move our country forward as we improve technology for everyone.
Welcome everyone to the GTF launch. Please be seated. We're going to start the program.
I'm Mrinalini Lakshminarayanan, the Technology Chair for Government Technology Foundation. Bill Ford, Executive Chairman of Ford Motor Company, said, "A journey that leads to better ideas and breakthrough thinking." Today is a defining moment for GTF and one of many to come in the timeline of innovation in government. Welcome and thank you for being with us in this milestone. I have the privilege of introducing our first speaker for this evening. She has been the backbone of GTF from the start. An individual who's an inspirational leader, entrepreneur with over 18 years of experience working with government. She has experience in executive management, sales, and marketing, and she has led over $100 million of projects with the government. She has held positions as president of Blackwell Consulting Services, managing partner at Clarity Partners, and assistant commissioner at City of Chicago Department of Innovation and Technology and Office of Mayor. Modesty and dignified, these are the words that describe her. She has been honored with prestigious Anti-Defamation League Women Achievement Award, the University of Illinois Chance Program Community Partnership Leadership Award, the National Forum for Black Public Administrators Leadership Award. She is dedicated to various charitable causes. She is the co-chair of IT Committee for Illinois Black Chamber of Commerce. Ms. Ellen Roselle Turner, the founder, the president, and CEO of the William Everett Group and Mind Your Manners Limited. Please welcome Ms. Ellen Roselle Turner, the co-chair of Government Technology Foundation.
So first of all, I want to welcome everybody. I want to welcome our elected officials, our GTF Board of Directors, and all the wonderful advisors and planning committee that help with this together. Welcome and thank you for coming today. I'd like to first introduce someone who's been a great partner to the Government Technology Foundation. Because of them, we have this facility free. They provide us with all sorts of support, and Terry Howerton, who is the founder and executive chair of TechNexus, isn't here today. But the person that will be coming in his stead, sorry, Brandon, hold on one second. I just moved your last name. Brendan will be here to speak on behalf of Terry.
No worries. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone, and welcome to TechNexus. My name is Brendan Karp. I work here and do a lot of interesting things, I think. So we were founded back in 2007 as an initial collaboration and incubation space in Chicago. Since then, we've really evolved and we're really focused on, I think, a lot of the key focus areas that you guys are. We truly believe that it takes a lot from a government side to have a successful public-private partnership, much like our focus is. Our focus, since we've started, we've grown over 175 ventures. Those have gone on to exit to Fortune 500 companies, hired and employed thousands of people. Our focus now is on collaborating with the private sector and large corporations. How are we able to look at the 55 Fortune 500 companies that have visited us over the past few months alone and build smarter businesses around those companies? Businesses that employ people, have an impact on the economy, and we're running corporate accelerator programs to do so, to build smarter ventures. One of those is a perfect example, I think, of what this organization will support is in collaboration with the Department of Homeland Security that we're running a program with them. So we're big fans of what you guys are doing. We think it's absolutely wonderful. We're very happy to support this initiative and want to help you guys in any way that we can. So please feel free to reach out whenever if we can do anything to support the work that you're doing, and I thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Brendan. You guys are awesome. I just want to take a few minutes to recognize some of our distinguished guests, because I really want everyone to have some idea of who's in the audience today and who you'll get a chance to network with. So, and if I leave you out, we're going to get you before this program's over. But I just wanted to recognize the Honorable Robert Steele, Cook County Commissioner, who is actually on our Board of Advisors as well. Also, I'd like to recognize Simona Rollinson. She's the CIO for Cook County. Also on our Board of Advisors, and she's just been so wonderful to us, Bridget Dancy. She is the CIO of the Clerk of the Circuit Court. Yes. And then also, a great contributor to GTF. I believe he's here. Arnold Crater, he is the CIO of, oh, I looked right past you. Thank you. Carmen Sandhu, the managing CIO for the city of Chicago. Is she here yet? Okay, she's coming. Kirk Talbot, the CIO for Lake County. Is he with us yet? Okay, if you, oh, there he is. Kirk, come on up. You're supposed to be up here. And then Beth Malloy, is she here from Microsoft? There she is, one of my sheroes. Beth is the director for the Microsoft Technology Center and on our board of advisors as well. A couple people that are going to be joining us as advisors, and Maurice Jones, he's the Executive Development Director for the City of Dubuque, Iowa, is here with us today. Thank you. And then we are so honored to have with us someone that I know is a dear friend to Poonam and a number of the supporters of GTF, the Honorable Dr. Asuf Saeed, the Consulate General of India. We are so happy to have you. They've been just going on about what a wonderful person you are, so I'm so happy you're here with us today. Later on, we'll have Jamie Rhee from the city of Chicago. Shannon Andrews will be joining us, and the clerk of the circuit court, Dorothy Brown, as a number of people as well. Also, so again, without the support of our sponsors, we certainly wouldn't be here. It would be a lot harder for us to do the things that we do. So I just want to acknowledge our sponsors, and I'll just ask one person, I'll call your name, who represents this company to stand up, but your team can yell for you. How about that? So first I want to acknowledge AST Rick McGahee is here. There he is in the back. Say hi, Rick. Damian Gonzalez from CDW and the CDW team. Archie Williamson Jr. and Nate Page from Diversified Systems, Inc. are here. Thank you, guys. And Chris Baumgarter, who gets to represent two companies, Heartland and Avistone Technologies. Thank you, Chris. And we got a great contention from one of our big supporters, IBM, James Northern, Jody, Samsa, you guys. Jody, why don't you stand up for your team, the IBM team. Also, this next company has been with Poonam, I know, from the beginning, and they're awesome. Katie Kaufman with NetApp. Is Katie here? Thank you, Katie. And also, we've got a nice contingent from the Rolta team. Rich Nemec, are you here, Rich? And oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I keep looking outward. I see you guys. Okay, and then we also want to thank Dinkar Karamori from Sinrio. And some of the great foods you'll be having, we have a food partner from Size Saffron Chat House. They provided the food for the reception today, so I don't think he's here, but let's give a round of applause for him as well. And then we also want to thank the team from ICA Enterprises. I don't know if any of them are in the room, but I know Poonam's here, and they do everything. So we really appreciate all the hard work from your team. And also I want to acknowledge William Everett team. They may actually be working. Is anybody from my company in this room? Yeah, they're working, so give them a round of applause. Okay, great. So thank you so much. I just wanted to say a few things about why I got involved with GTF and how this whole thing came to be. Today really marks kind of the realization of a dream of this woman I met a few years ago. She had this dream in her mind about creating a foundation such as GTF. And when I look around this room, I mean, I feel so happy and so pleased. My soul feels happy because you know, I've, as many of you know, I've worked in government, I've worked outside of government, but it's all been somehow with government for the past 20 years. And I really became very smitten with the notion of being a public servant. Back many years ago, Beth Boatman and I met. I'm saying because she's talking. I took an interview for a job at the city of Chicago back in 1997. And I met this woman, and I was really apprehensive about working for government. I was like, oh boy, you know, not sure. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about. It's just you don't know, right? But I sat down with her, and she painted this amazing vision of what Mayor Daley wanted to do with the city. He wanted the city to run like business. He wanted her to put together an amazing team and, you know, to help improve processes. And then, because she had an amazing background with with IBM and technology, to see if there was an opportunity to marry those two things. And so, the vision she painted was awesome. And by the way, Beth, you don't get enough credit. You were the first innovator. Stand up again and say, be thanked, because she was really one of the major innovators at the city. Really, seriously. You don't understand. I'll tell you a little bit more about it. But and so I joined, and after Beth was able to talk a bunch of private sector folks from Accenture and CSC and all the big consulting firms to leave their wonderful, cushy, high-paying jobs to come to the city to help bring about change in government. That's when I got the whole idea of innovation and government being able to work well together. Once we were able to really, you know, achieve some goals that were sometimes extremely challenging and sometimes almost insurmountable. Because again, when you're talking about technology and you're talking about innovation, you know, it's not the technology, it's the people, right? It's really all about the people. And but once we were able to really implement some really innovative projects that really transformed the city of Chicago, whether it was 311, providing new permitting systems for people to use so they didn't have to wait 3 months to get a permit, making you know, technology more transparent to our citizenry. That was really the moment that I understand how important this work is. And so many people ask me, why are you doing this? Why do you spend so much time hanging out with Poonam? And why aren't you working at your business? And why aren't you, you know, concentrating on making more money? And my answer is always the same, whether it's working with GTF or working on one of my charitable boards. This is my life's work. This is what I do. I've had an incredibly blessed life that affords me, you know, an opportunity to do the things that make me happy and feel fulfilled. And one of the things I love about being involved with GTF is the ability to promote the growth of minority and women-owned businesses, which, and the bottom line of that, affects the economic growth of our communities. That makes me very happy. It's the ability to engage an exchange of ideas with some of the most brilliant and talented people from every age, race, ethnicity, technical discipline, and industry, all coming together to share one vision. And I'm just throwing this in as an improv piece, but you know, growing up in a place like St. Louis, and believe me, it's not much different than it was when I grew up. It might probably worse, but looking at a room like this, being able to exchange ideas with women, powerful women, with brilliant people like Richard and some of these other people, and then looking across the room when we're planning these events and seeing every race and creed and color and everybody respecting each other, and all because we care about innovation, we care about government, but we care about, come on in. Say hi to Carmen. Yeah. And so, this is GTF and the people that we work with, and the work that we want to provide to government is the world that I want to live in and I want to work in. And that is the essence of, thank you, Government Technology Foundation. So just like me, I think a lot of people you're in this room share that vision. And so we welcome you. We want you to be a part of what we're doing. And at this time, I want to just introduce the person behind the vision and the reality of Government Technology Foundation. You know, Poonam Gupta Krishnan, you know, is a visionary. She's a thought leader. She's an entrepreneur. She's a mother and wife. And to many of us, a person that tells us, keep going, you can do it, and she doesn't take no for an answer. And she is the one that is responsible for bringing this into fruition. So without further ado, Poonam Gupta Krishnan.
Welcome and thank you. And I'm not here to tell you any story about most anything, just some of the glimpses of what got us today together. And we'll take you some of the fun story time without telling long stories, because my team backstage told me that everybody's going over time, so keep it short. So we'll keep it short. All right. A truth about doing innovation or anything disruptive, and you get people excited and they want to be a part of it and make a difference in their life. They all say, let's do it, right? Guess what happens next? You go first. And that you go first is somebody has to be first. And I had, I'll take that. So I had the opportunity to be a part of conversation with an author, friend, who became friend later on, Praveen Gupta, who was the director of IIT's Innovation Center, has written a bunch of books. So I said, Praveen, what do I put in? He said, I don't know. So I just took the pictures of all his books and put it up there. So introduced. And I said, Praveen, you run the Innovation Center, but why the government innovation seems to take forever? And he said, well, there is only one way to find out. Ask them. And that's how Technology Innovation Summit came about in collaboration with the Illinois Institute of Technology in 2011. And when we put together the first time, and we had a lot of people from DuPage County, the chairperson, 40 years in the government sector, CIOs of many municipalities and cities, and then economic development people had the discussion, and we found out some gap. And I'll tell you an interesting story to make that transition, is, and that goes to myself. So I was born in India in a very simplistic, humble background, and was first to go to beyond high school. And when I came to USA, the internet was not, is it working? Internet was not as efficient as it is today in 1991. So all I needed was, what I knew was magazines in library, whatever they told, and they painted a beautiful picture of America, and which was true. You know, Hollywood, big highways, Vegas, everything was superb. And I landed to this country, and the first thing I did was I saw a car that says police. And I said, what is police doing in America? Everything is good in America, why do you need police? So there is a difference between the reality and the perception. So when we figured out that the people that were talking to us in TIS, they really had the gaps, and the perception and the reality was different. So we went back and talked to international visionary and innovation, Mr. Sam Petroda. Some of you have heard him in previous TIS. And then I went to talk to Cook County President, Honorable Tony Prequinkle. They were so clear in their head that they want to move forward. They have the political will, the guidance, and support. Ms. Prequinkle had the then CIO be a part of it, and Simona is with us from county, so thank you, Simona. And there was very clear message, and some of that just, I can share that with you. Like Cook County Clerk, Ms. Brown, shared how it took her 5 years to do one technology upgrades that would have taken a few months in private sector. Then, I don't know if Brenna is not here. So City of Chicago CIO, Brenna, shared how coming from a private sector, very, very successful career, and then it takes so much effort and the process to go through to get the skills that are needed to run their business. So there was process cumbersomeness. That was very clear. And that is why a lot of people talked about it, and we decided to put together what we call engaging technology thought leaders and facilitating innovation. And that is public sector, private sector, academia, entrepreneurs, and created a bunch of programs that some of that you will be hearing about today. And who came to put this together are the people that we have been working with, and most of them were part of our initial Technology Innovation Summit, and some came along. I really appreciate, where is UIC? Cynthia is here. So UIC partnerships and support is incredible, and I'm sure that will grow, and she will share in the panel discussions. So some came along, many of that you see. A lot of people, Carol Bell, that time, she has changed the roles right now. Beth, thank you. And Arnold and Bruce Montgomery, those people got the thought leadership to give this a shape. And the advisory board came from a lot of different places. And as my team told me, don't take too much time, so I have to skip naming, but I'm sure you recognize all these leaders. So this is, GTF is nothing but building the dream for our future generation by bridging the gap. And what is the gap? Traditionally, corporate people have been moving faster. It's not that the people coming from corporate, the government is run by those people. And they are very smart people with a very good heart. Listening to Commissioner Steele, it just like tells me that they want to move faster, and they want, if I'm right, Commissioner, that they want a place where they can have the knowledge, the mentorship, the support, so that they can make their value-added decisions. So, hang on, I'll take another minute. So basically, understanding the needs, having the communication, and having a clearing house for best practices from all different directions is what we are set out to do. To get things done, we have a number of committees that are headed with people that are very, very smart people. And some of them you will be seeing and hearing in a few minutes. And I see that Renali is already that she heads the technology committee. How you can join us is be a member. There's a membership committee that Eddie will be talking about in a little bit later. Become an advisor. Support us with your understanding, knowledge, and connections. Nominate the innovator. We have the award program. We'll be talking about that. And then invite others to join. So, and I will say this just written down, and not all can be done right now, but if you are interested to find out a little bit more, find one of our team members, advisors, or myself to talk to us, and then we go forward. And I would like to introduce the next speaker, which I have a distinguished honor and privilege to introduce an international diplomat, intellectual, thought leader, and champion of collaboration in economic growth. He probably doesn't know that I'm going to tell some story about him. And this is a very interesting story that one time I was sitting in Indian function, Indian community function, and the president of FIA, Federation of Indian Association, Mr. Kirti Ravori, I see that he is sitting in the back. Mel shared, his thoughts about how we have so many pieces. If our community comes together, that would be so much more powerful, and then we disperse a lot of our energy into doing things that are not useful. And then I had this very big community activist, Nazneen Hashmi, sitting right there. And Nazneen said, yes, I see that all the time. It's very frustrating. I don't know, Dr. Saeed heard that, or it was a part of his talk. And he came on and said, we'll have one flag hosting. Why are we doing it every group? Is that right, sir? So I was listening. So that's the community leader who does not talk. He makes things work. Let me introduce you Dr. Saeed, and a little bit about Dr. Saeed is he has taken charge as a Consul General of India in Chicago from 2013 and has been serving different parts since 1989 after joining Indian Foreign Services. And he has served as Ambassador of India in Sana'a, Yemen, as Joint Secretary of West Africa in Ministry of External Affairs, New Delhi. Who served as a Consul General of India in Jeddah. And there's so many of the great things he has done. With Egypt, assignments in Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Denmark, and many more. So during the long diplomatic career, he has handled different areas of work, including political, economic, consular, cultural work. He has launched several business groupings for promoting trade and economic relations between India and these countries. Dr. Saeed is a published author as well. And I would not go through his list of beautiful books, but he has done a lot of work. And one of the biggest reasons for reaching out to him and his gracious acceptance was that he is a supporter of community development between two countries. And here is Dr. Saeed.
Founder of the Government Technology Foundation, distinguished elected representatives, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon and a warm welcome to you in this unique event. I thank the organizers, first of all, for inviting me here and providing me with this unique opportunity to share my thoughts with you. At the outset, the young lady who was here, young still in the Indian context, and her team deserve full appreciation for, first of all, coming up with this great idea of a technology forum which would serve as an interface between industry and the government and a platform for exchange of smart ideas and solutions for efficient management of enterprises, enhancing productivity, reducing costs, and creation of jobs. I recall the one quotation of former President of India and acclaimed nuclear scientist, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who had once said, "Learning gives creativity, creativity leads to thinking, thinking provides knowledge, knowledge makes you great." Since we have large number of American audience here, I would just like to also transport you a little bit back in time in India so that you understand how the modern India evolved. So I would just take 2 to 3 minutes as my previous speakers have taken above the allocated time. India has a long history of scientific and technological innovations dating back to ancient times, and most of you must be aware of the enormous work done in the field of mathematics, astronomy, metallurgy, medicine, and metrology. So if you ask me one question, what is the biggest contribution of India to the world? I would perhaps say zero. I mean the number zero, which you're very well aware of. The Hindu numerical system, the decimal place value, all the precursor of the Arabic numeral system, these are the contributions in mathematics. And if you talk about astronomy, one of the leading astronomers of India, Aryabhatta, was the first to state that the earth moves around the sun and that the eclipses are caused by the shadow of earth falling on the moon. And you would be surprised that in the field of medicine too, complex surgeries like plastic surgery was being carried out in India as early as 2000 BC, and cataract surgery was also known in the 6th century BC. So, and also in the field of education, we are aware of modern educational institutions. IIT is one of the pioneers of this forum. But then if you go back and look in history, India was the home perhaps to the world's first university, which was Taxila, established in 700 BC, where more than 10,000 students studied 60 different subjects. And similarly, India was also a pioneer in the world's first republic, which was Vaisali in the modern Bihar. Then the question comes, if India was the land of innovation and technology even thousands of years ago, then how come a perception existed, particularly in the West, that India is the land of snake charmers? The Prime Minister of India, Honorable Shri Narendra Modi ji, during his address at the Madison Square Garden in New York last September, alluded to this very misperception by saying that there was a time when India was regarded as a land of snake charmers, but it has since changed thanks to the young Indians who have excelled in technology and helped in changing the image of India in the world. When we talk about modern India, we mean a nation, a young nation, whose 50% of the population is below the age of 25 and more than 65% of its population is below the age of 35. This translates into 540 young Indians under the age of 25. That means today every third person in India is a youth. So according to an estimate of Morgan Stanley Research, India is expected to be the largest supplier of university graduates in the world by 2020, which would be roughly about 115 million. These young Indians are dynamic, technology savvy, ready to experiment and kindle their minds. No wonder we are noticing a technological digital revolution in India. In 2001, for instance, there were only about 7 million internet users in India. This number is expected to cross 550 million by 2018, making Indians the second largest online community in the world, according to one research. Today, the number of internet users in India are about 300 million, and every 6 months, we are adding 50 million more internet users in India. Surprisingly, many rural community members are also joining the internet revolution, and it is expected that the current number of rural internet users would go from 60 million to around 280 million. Also in India, those who have been to India recently, you would find extraordinary use of mobile internet, extraordinary use of mobile phones. Even you would find that vegetable vendors, you would find maybe fishermen or rickshaw pullers. Everybody has evolved into a digitally literate person. India is now the third largest country in the world to have 5 internet companies valued over $1 billion. India constitutes the second largest market in the world for Facebook and LinkedIn. Now this is where now when we talk about all this, but when you talk about the actual penetration of internet in terms of the size of the population, it is only less than 20% when compared to China, which is 50%, and Brazil, which is 61%. That is where the role of the government comes in promoting the use of technology and e-governance. And I would just like to mention about one recent initiative of the new government, which is the Digital India. And this was launched as part of the government's national e-governance plan. So what is Digital India then? It's an umbrella program involving multiple agencies and is aimed at transforming India into a digitally empowered society and knowledge economy. Focus is to make technology central to enabling change. So when we talk about Digital India, it is centered around 3 key areas. One is the digital infrastructure as a utility to every citizen, governance and service on demands, and digital empowerment to citizens. One such thing which I would like to mention is the proposal to have a cradle-to-grave digital identity. That means the same identity for a person who is born and until he dies in terms of his identity, and the use of services involving seamless integration in real time using online platforms, mobile platforms, and so on and so forth. The entire impact of Digital India, what we anticipate by 2019 is to have broadband connectivity in about 250,000 villages, 400,000 public internet accesses, 250,000 schools would get Wi-Fi, all universities would get Wi-Fi, and we aim at digital inclusion of 17 million people, job creation for 17 million people directly, and at least 8.5 million people indirectly, and no imports whatsoever of anything relating to digital technology. And to promote the e-governance and the use of technology, the government has also come up with several initiatives, awards, encouraging youngsters, for instance. The awards such as National E-Governance Awards, we identify the states, we identify the agencies, and then bestow with them these encouraging awards. The National Innovation Foundation of India, which is an autonomous body of the Department of Science and Technology, also works at grassroots levels to promote outstanding knowledge holders, especially from the unorganized sector. Ministry of Science and Technology has also come up with Inspire Awards for young students, basically to encourage talent when they are while still in the school. So there are several initiatives which are being taken. This is the time for you to look at India. When we just talk about the major initiatives, one you would see the smart cities, which is again an offshoot of the discussions in forums like this. Then we have the Ganga rejuvenation, that is the cleaning of the Ganga waters. Then we have the Make in India campaign. So I feel that this is no better time for the business community and the innovators to look at India. I would conclude my brief remarks with this, and with the hope that the discussions and ideas that would emanate in today's forum would go a long way in providing a new direction to both the private and public sectors in adopting what we would term as today the technology for growth and development. Thank you very much, and I wish GTS a very, very successful event this afternoon.
So, as Dr. Saeed shared, there has been a lot of things that have been going great for India, and there is a person to connect to. Would like to appreciate your time to come and share that. So, can we invite Commissioner Steele, Simona, please, to join us in sharing.
That's the effect of government. They always want to.
Okay, our next speaker is one of the most well-respected persons in government. In addition to his role on the Cook County Board of Commissioners and serving as President Pro Tem, chair and member of a number of board committees, including compliance and information technology, the Honorable Robert Steele is the embodiment of a true public servant. as he is known for saying, don't be part of the problem, be a part of the solution, right? And his answer to the problem is through his stewardship on behalf of people everywhere in our community in the areas of education, community development, civic activism, and strong leadership. It is my special pleasure to introduce and welcome a dear friend.
As Ellen alluded to, that one of my mottos is don't be a part of the problem, be a part of the solution. I think being a part of the solution with government officials like myself is making sure that we're in the room, and I'm so glad that my colleague, the clerk of the Circuit Court, Dorothy Brown, has just come in. So, why the significance of GTF? GTF be considered a technology think tank. That's kind of what we're going to, what we become, is a technology think tank where you, the private sector and the public sector like myself and the other electeds who are here and the directors of various departments, we can all get in a room and converse about the issues that are challenging to us, but what also is working. With the rapid pace of technology and innovation and development, there has been a profound and undeniable impact of all corners of our contemporary society. It has changed many of the day-to-day transactions that illustrate personal and business existence. It has radically reshaped and influenced domestic and global markets, and has offered the potential to revolutionize how government works at the same time that it challenges the ways in which government protects its consumers. GTF was founded to meet this challenge by bringing together transformational leaders from private, public, and organizations to focus on harnessing predictive analytics. Analytics like big data, future technologies, and the effort to create efficiencies in government while spurring economic growth. GTF's mission is to use innovative technologies to help reduce the time to implement new technologies for public sector. As innovations like Facebook has over 1 billion users a day, Twitter has hundreds of millions of tweets going on a day, and those are common day technology discussions. Well, for us in government, there are things like enterprise resource solutions that are becoming day-to-day discussions. Enterprise case management, which we talk about daily. Technology now mediates a vast set of relationships, but the number of individuals who can understand, build, and work with these evolving technology tools and platforms remain relatively small, which means many people like yourselves, there aren't a lot in our sector of this country or this particular region that are doing this type of work. Those kind of people who are technology skilled and creative people who have the background are programmers, designers, engineers, and innovative thinkers with crucial skills in computer science, data science, and internet. This represents a fraction of the human capital across this sector of technology. As information technology further permeates every aspect of our lives, government will inevitably have a role to play in ensuring that technology serves as the public interest. The ability of government to improve operations and provide services to citizens more efficiently is now the measuring tool for transparency. GTF is the next partner in helping government to continuously reach the next plateau in technology and economic growth. The world of technology is exciting. We're ready to work, study, and to transform, and GTF will be challenged to bring inspired people together in this forum, like yourselves, to ensure GTF remains at the cutting edge. I'd like to thank each of you for taking the time out of your schedule to be here with us today, for attending GTF's launch and bringing your expertise to gathering all these permeating thoughts of where we can go into the future with your partnership. Throughout the launch and implementation, I ask you to stay engaged with us. Become a member of this organization. Make sure that you're engaged enough to be at the table with us in public services as we have these critical thoughts that we need to take to the next level in the work that we do every day. You're there to work with us as our partners. GTF is an important partnership to me. I think it's an important partnership to many of my colleagues who are here in government. But most of all, it's important to our citizenship, who we're all serving at the bottom line. So that's why GTF is so important to me, and I thank you all for being here this afternoon.
Thank you, Commissioner Steele.
My heart is with him, and the appreciation is much larger than their certificate.
Yeah, right.
And here is my pleasure to introduce a real innovator who is making things work in the private sector, Rich Nemec, and he is just not aware of the needs, but has been very deeply involved. Some of the highlights of Rich's background is he is the president of Oracle Consulting Services at Rolta Americas. He's an Oracle expert based in Chicago. That Rolta is based in Chicago, and co-founder and CEO of TUSC. Am I correct, Rich? Please. Close. Is that right?
That's previous.
It's a previous company, not currently. Okay, so I had it a bit trouble, but he's a system integrator of Oracle-based business solutions that started in 1988. He is current president of Midwest Oracle Users Group, also based in Chicago, which is one of the 6 originally honored worldwide Oracle certified masters. Glad to know that. And one of the original Oracle ACE directors in the world for database administration. He is also a published author with the #1 Oracle bestseller, Oracle 11G Release 2 Performance Tuning Tips and Techniques. Rich is a graduate of Purdue University and former US Marine and National TRIO Program achiever. So here comes the doer himself, Rich Nemec. Thank you.
I brought my technology to watch my time. I will start it now. How do you make an impact in the world? You saw it with Ellen. You saw it with Commissioner Steele. You saw it with Poonam. You saw it with some of our other distinguished guests. And the answer is you have to care. You have to actually care. You have to actually want to. You have to want to make that impact. What about innovation? What if you're using yesterday's technology? The enterprise that does not innovate ages and declines. And in a period of rapid change, such as today, the present, that decline will be fast. Peter Drucker, very good management speaker. So how do you make an impact? Some of the things, got a no technology. Shift F5, put you on the current slide, in case you're wondering. I built a company. It's called Tusk. I'm in the Chicago Entrepreneur Hall of Fame. When I was building Tusk in 1988, I needed energy about 10 years in. I was dying. Got an award, Entrepreneur Hall of Fame. University of Illinois, Chicago, Jerry Hill's Center of Entrepreneurship teaches that. When you look at some of the books I've written over the years, the only goal was to educate other people. So why is that? Because of this award, all the way down at the bottom. I never bring it up, except here. TRIO Achiever Award. How many people know what TRIO is? How many people know what Upward Bound is? Student Special Services. So I was a poor kid on the south side of Chicago, Indiana-Illinois border, and somebody took the time. My mother actually said, you know what, I think I can get you a job as a janitor at the Y. That was her level of expectation. I thought, whoa, wow. Then I met somebody from Upward Bound said, we will educate you and make you great. We will take what you have learned on the streets. You take that to the business world, you'll have something they don't have. And that was the key to all the other success. You know, and I've spoke all over the world, China, India, Australia, Europe, Poland, Luxembourg, etc. Our company eventually was acquired by Rolta. You see a very large company, How many people remember Whitman Hart? Another company was acquired by Ralta, Bob Bernard. One of the great legacies is the Children's Hospital that him and his wife support. We're really software, hardware agnostic at the end of the day. We want to use what's the best thing out there. And if you look at once the richest guy in the world, at one point when Microsoft stock went down, Larry Ellison, what does he say? I like leaders, people who take risks, people who do things before they become fashionable. He's saying, I like people who innovate. One of the richest guys in the world, where did he grow up? Anyone know? Chicago. We don't hear enough about him. We don't accept him enough. But the greatest innovator probably on earth in business today, talked about more than, is from Chicago. So I'm going to look at innovation. What's important now? My grandfather was a steel worker. My father was a steel worker. What's the goal in the future? Be a steel worker. Commissioner Steele, be a steel worker. Predictive analytics, right? So what is innovation? Creating something new, taking something from an idea like GTF to implementation. Are you leveraging big data, social media? Are you using predictive analytics? The Internet of Things, all these different smart cities, things like that. Or are you still back in the telegraph days? I'm sure there's people still out there saying the telegraph's going to be big. Just need to put a little more money behind it. Things have moved, telegraph to telephone, trains to car, went to plastics, computer to smartphones, encyclopedia to Wikipedia. And if you look at it, it's, I have an idea, GTF. It's taken off. I got a few more people that are helping me. Got the commissioner involved. Got some other people involved, some leaders in business, and all of a sudden it takes off. Then there's a next wave of innovation. Now when you get here, you're doing the telegraph, it's taken off. At some point it levels out and there's a new technology. And if you stay here, no amount of investment is going to help you to grow that. Some people want to push what's there, and you got to take that next wave. Bill Gates stepped down in 1998. What happened? You see that same wave of innovation and leveling off with Microsoft stock. Bill Gates re-engaged 2014. What happened? Next cycle starting. You'll see it in stocks as well. And these disruptive technologies are companies that weren't there before. Amazon wasn't there. How did they pass all these other great companies? Facebook wasn't there. How did they pass them? Because these companies tried to stay with the old technology. They didn't change. And you start with a few users, and then you start taking on the users that are there a lot. If we look at what's coming, email is now Instagram for the younger generation. And if you look at telephones, people are starting to do implants in your ear where you wear something around your neck and it'll communicate, or it's your watch communicating with your phone instead of taking your phone out. So we're moving even faster on this wave. Are you taking advantage of it? The best carpenters use the best tools. Are you using the best tools? Are you using the latest technology? That's the difference. Robotics, it's coming. It's either a robot is going to take your job or you're going to integrate technology with you to do that job better. And then if I look further down, it'll be a lot of implants and that technology merging with people. If I look at some of the things, they've put chips on a mouse to increase its brain capacity. They'll do the same for you. In fact, they've put a plug in here where she can actually operate this arm. This is something where you put it in your bloodstream and it creates energy, which you then can power your phone or something like that. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think I'm using that much technology. You can look at the things that are coming very fast. Robots, vertical farming, 3D printing where we can print actual body parts. Where we can change what the design of the dress is using the Internet things with clothing. Where they have smart cities. We actually built a smart city in Dubai, our company. But the future's here, but why? Where's my flying car? If it's here, where is it? And the answer is people have so many different things of technology. This is Gartner's trends, and we see big data here. predictive analytics, which we saw Commissioner Steele talk about. All of these things are converging at the same time, and a lot of people are having a hard time absorbing all of it. You know, we have shopping data, phone data, credit card data, health data, and all of this is called big data. All that social media. What are people saying about my products? What are they buying? And they can't handle it, and they're not creating the future because it's coming at them too fast. And there's too much of it. And it's different. And some of it's high value and some of it's low value. And trying to figure out all those pieces are very difficult. In Moneyball, they say you're not solving the problem, you're not even looking at the problem. Some people are so far in the past, they're looking at how to improve the telegraph instead of looking at Instagram and what's coming next. Instead of looking at the statistics instead of predictive type of statistics. So with data we used to be able to see what happened. Now we can look at why did it happen, what will happen, what's the best thing that can happen if we predict the future and change the present so the future is better. We look at a survey we did here, International Oracle User Group. Where is it based? Anyone know? Chicago, right on Michigan Avenue. What are the big data business opportunities? I can compete more effectively, I can better understand my customers, I can grow revenue streams, I can lower business costs. Those are the top things that every CEO, CIO, CFO wants to do. And all they have to do is implement big data. All they have to do is use that innovation. We did this with an oil client, saved them tens of millions to $100 million in downtime, just integrating all their systems and leveraging big data. What's after big data? You say, well, I haven't got big data yet. Well, next is going to be the Internet of Things. Things like smart cities, your phones, all of these different sensors that are in everything you have, from your car to a light pole, to everything out there, to healthcare, to the grid. It can integrate your phone with your watch. The baby can wake up and actually warm up the bottle before he even cries. It's moving around and it'll just start warming it automatically. Available today. Your lighting, it will tell you when the light bulb's about to go out before it goes out. So you can just walk up there and the second it goes out, you're changing it. If you really want to go to that level. Your refrigerator, you know, it can integrate with your bathroom scale, so it's like, no, it's locked, sorry. Can't go in. If you buy some of these foods, then okay, we'll let you in. But not until you fill it with the right stuff. I could use smart energy when energy is a lower price to wash my clothes. They even have cartoons about the Internet of Things. I think my Nest smoke alarm, Google bought them, is going off because Google AdWords just pitched me for a fire extinguisher and temporary housing. Are you integrating big data and IoT? Because the cartoons already have it. That's how much it's already here. Oh, do I have any eggs? Well, I can check because I have my eggs in this little holder. How many I have left? Animal tracking, if you lose your pet. You want to know if a bear's nearby. People tracking, the new normal. You know, you go through a grocery store and they're watching everywhere you go. You know, and there's a little, he stopped at the Cheez-Its, but he didn't buy them. Why is that? Why is the world moving faster and faster? And the answer is, we're moving from 18-bit to 64-bit. When we moved to 16-bit, we moved from a mainframe and we got Windows, because it was 250 times faster. When we moved to 32-bit, it was 4 million times faster and we got the internet. Right now, we're moving to 64-bit. It's 4 trillion times faster than that jump to the internet. So if you think there's not going to be any opportunity, I mean, here it is. It's coming. We will never live in a better time in all of history than today. So what did I cover very quickly? Innovation, big data, what's coming next, the Internet of Things. And if you're not a tech person, remember, this is how your tech guys think of themselves. This is how most managers think of them. Be a future tech leader, integrate technology within yourself. And remember, things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle. from somebody from Illinois, of course. So build a successful team. Just don't forget about the technology, but don't forget the character attributes, because those are the things that really matter and make the great teams. So thank you and have a great day.
The certificate of appreciation, which is less than our words, and appreciation is kind of behind in time, so it's coming. So, but we still appreciate and thank him.
I am pleased to introduce our next speaker. For over 15 years, the Honorable Dorothy Brown has held office as clerk to one of the largest unified court systems in the United States and in the world. For years, Clerk Brown has been at the forefront of leaders who embrace the use of innovative technology. She has given her technology team, and specifically her current CIO, Bridget Dancy, who also happens to be on our advisory board. Bridget, could you stand and just be acknowledged, please? Bridget and I go way back in the day, way back in the day. The autonomy to use private partnerships to enable them to build their own mobile apps, deploy smart kiosks, to develop e-filing and online ticket payment applications, just to name a few. Clerk Brown and her team are all about innovation. She was one of our passionate speakers at the Technology Innovation Summit in 2013. And what I respect so much about her, because a lot of times, you know, leaders don't want to talk. They're like, I'm not into technology, let my CIO do it. She's like, no. I mean, she's like all over it and ready to really talk about it and embrace it. And we just love that about her. So, so she was at our summit in 2013 and has been an unwavering supporter for the promotion of inclusion and the growth of women and minority technology firms. At this time, I'd like to welcome the Honorable Clerk of the Circuit Court, Dorothy Brown.
Good evening. Afternoon, okay. Thank you. Buenas tardes. How about that? Yeah. Well, good afternoon to all of you, and thank you, Ellen, and the Government Technology Foundation for inviting me to say a few words today. I certainly want to recognize the entire, the founding directors, and just a phenomenal group, a fantastic idea, and innovation, really, of sorts, as we just heard. I wish to acknowledge our president of the county board, of course, my great friend, Commissioner Steele, and the Consulate General, who's a great friend of mine as well, the Consulate General from India, Dr. Saeed, and my CIO, who is my partner in technology crime, if you will, Ms. Bridget Dancy. It's just, and all of the other keynote speakers here today. The reason why I'm able to embrace technology, Ellen, is because back when I graduated from Southern University in 1975, I graduated with, even though I was in accounting as a major, I graduated with computers as my minor. For some reason, back then in the 70s, I figured out that computers would be the future. And so I wanted to have a grasp on that. And so that's why I'm not afraid of it. And I've been able to really advance my knowledge by working with people like Bridget Dancy and the like. And then when I was the general auditor for the Chicago Transit Authority, auditing the Information Technology Department gave me another sense and understanding of technology. So all of that put together has helped me to embrace technology. But I applaud the Government Technology Foundation for providing this opportunity that allows participants to work on building effective partnerships that focus on how to best harness technology to improve efficiencies in government. I'm honored to be a member of the GTF Advisory Board. The theme of today's panel discussion, how partnerships and collaboration will drive the future of technology innovation, is very timely. Today, more than ever, government at all levels are seeking to improve operational processes, programs, and services, and effectively meet the needs of citizens while contending with limited resources. It is vitally important to consider how government and major corporations may work together to pool resources to develop innovative technologies that improve government systems, reduce costs, and save taxpayers money. We have a prime example of that when we partnered with Online Information Services to put in our electronic filing system. I guess that's been about, I would say, 6 years ago, were able to respond to our request that a technology firm would put in that system for free and only get paid when the users use the system. And so we were able to have no cost for an electronic. You guys want to do a no cost? Anybody? Anybody? We have a case management system out on the, isn't that right, Simonia? We love to get a no cost for our case management system. Who's laughing? But that, to me, was an innovative way to get electronic filing for Cook County. But I salute the Government Technology Foundation for its commitment to supporting governmental efficiencies and the economic development of our communities. I hope all of the attendees here are inspired and motivated by the critical information that will be provided by GTF today. Thank you all so very much, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Clerk Brown. As Poonam mentioned, Tony Preckwinkle, the president of Cook County, had a death in her family and was not able to attend. Although Shannon Andrews was coming anyway, but she was asked to step in and speak on behalf of President Preckwinkle. Shannon is a dear friend to not just GTF, but as many, don't you guys love Shannon? She is just awesome. Like, she is along with Jamie Ree, who I hope will be here, but talk about procurement officers who are friendly to the vendor community. Shannon always has an open door. She's always there, willing to help support our companies. She has had an amazing career. She started out in the city of Chicago with her partner in crime, Miss Jamie Reed, the head of procurement. And then she was asked to go to Cook County and handle their compliance office. And then what, in 2 months were you named the head of procurement for Cook County? Go figure. And so we are just honored to have her here to provide some comments. Miss Shannon Andrews.
Good afternoon, everyone. I love that she put the added pressure for all of you to clap for me when she said, don't you just love her? When the reality is that most people love procurement until it comes time to get a PO or something. So I want to say thank you for having me. Now, the thing about it is, for any of those of you who have seen me at other speaking engagements, I'm not particularly shy, and I love to talk about procurement. And so when they gave me the call to say that you need to go stand in for the president at the IT function, and I've been to this event before, I'm like, and Simona will attest to this, I can barely turn on my computer, truth be told. I'm like, they don't really want to hear from me. But Ellen, who is forever charming, convinced me that I'd do well in terms of sitting in for the president when the president calls. I serve at the pleasure. So it is actually an honor and a pleasure to be here with you guys today. Now, you will also see me do something that I don't typically do, because I reached out to Simona to get a few IT talking points to impress you today. Although I can do a really good, why don't we take the T23 line up to the cloud and then bring it back through the server that's located on the mainframe. Are you impressed? This man right here is like, I'm sold. So first of all, but again, I don't know if that's because of my charm or because I signed the POs, but well, that's another story. That's another story. So let me go back to my official remarks. On behalf of Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, I want to thank GTF. Like I said, they have been great partners and friends of ours. The president actually recalled with me yesterday when we were going over this that she was on board for the inaugural event, which I think may have been at the Federal Reserve, Northern Trust, when she first came on board, when she was first elected to office, and she was really disappointed that she couldn't be here today, again, due to a death in her family. They had to change quite a few things around on her agenda, but again, you got me. It's not a bad. And on top of that, after the Honorable Dorothy Brown and Commissioner Steele, it ain't a bad show from the county. I also want to say a really special thank you to Ellen and Poonam. I'm certain that you guys know this, but I mean, they are really fearless in terms of the fight and the effort that they put up in terms with government agencies to ensure that we are always aware of the opportunities to partner with varied, diverse IT vendors. I think both with Ellen and Poonam, I've seen from the largest IT firms to those folks who are just getting started, a unique perspective and understanding of the challenges that we have in government in terms of we're always really clear of what we want at the tail end. Sometimes it's a bit fuzzy in between, and then you throw in procurement and our pesky rules and regulations and processes. They have been wonderful in terms of ensuring that we have a continuous conversation and dialogue about ways that we can continue to be better partners. So I really want to say a special thank you to both Ellen and Poonam. I'd also, again, be remiss not to acknowledge my dear friend and mentor, Commissioner Steele, who from my very first day at Cook County took me under his wing and has showed special leadership to me, especially in his role as the compliance chair for the board. And there's not a month, I would say, that doesn't go by where he is not actively involved in making certain that the procurement process remains not only transparent and fair, but that people are aware of the contracting opportunities that exist at Cook County. So thank you, sir. And as always, the Honorable Dorothy Brown, Clerk Dorothy Brown, while she and I don't work directly together, her girl Bridget and I spend a lot of time together because she's the person who's in my office and with Simona and I making certain that it really is a great partnership in terms of making certain that we're trying to make the procurement process easier for you, but also outlining the opportunities that are coming up. You know, I always like to start off by saying I think that you are all in a really unique position in terms of Cook County and IT opportunities. I've told this story before, so bear with me if it's redundant for some of you, but in my days at City Hall, I actually started out under Barbara Lumpkin, worked for Montel Gales, ended my career there with Jamie Ree. When IT firms would come to talk to us, we were on the back end of having spent a lot of money, having invested a lot of money in IT systems, in good, bad, or ugly, whether they were perfect or not so perfect. We'd spent a lot of money and we were stuck with it. And so people would come with new ideas and we want to partner in this way, and we would have to say, we've done it. The money spent, we just invested $8, $10, $13 million. It's going to be a while before we purchase at that level again. When I came over to the county, again, under President Preckwinkle's leadership, and of course the Board of Commissioners, we've been really committed to upgrading a lot of antiquated systems. And so you may say to yourself, why would she choose procurement over the Bureau of Technology to speak to you today? Well, first of all, because you're going to be lucky enough to hear from our amazing CIO, Simona Rollinson, a little bit later today. She's going to be on the panel. But the reality is that procurement is a critical partner in our efforts to help make the future partnerships with you work. Because as quiet as it's kept, it's really not that quiet, because I want to see everybody shake their head when I say this. government procurement is different than most. We've got these pesky laws, rules, and regulations. You know, you don't get to shop, and I know that you all know this, you don't get to shop for what you need in government in the same way that you do at home. You just go online, you see it, it fits, it looks great, you like the color, it's what I want, I think the price is good. Well, I've got codes and laws and federal regulations, local regulations, state regulations. All of that governs the process. And so my job, my role is, you know, I've also said this, I am a jack of all things and a master of none in terms of the things that we buy. But what I know and what I do well is the process. I am committed to ensure that the President's commitment to transparent, open, honest processes exist. One of the reasons why I have an open door policy is because I don't know what I don't know. So when Simona and Bridget and those guys come to me and say, this is what I want, I know how to package it up and get it out to you. But sometimes I don't, you know, when they're talking about the T319 line, I have to take them at face value because I really don't know, despite the fact that you were really impressed that I said it. I really don't know. And so it's always helpful when vendors come in to say, you know, you put out a solicitation and here are the challenges or the problems. The reason why you didn't get any responses is because of this. You know, you can come and say things in a safe space in procurement that perhaps you don't get to say to the folks who will be the end user. And then I'm able to help facilitate and master the dialogue between our end users, our partners, and the process. And that is really critical and important as we continue to invest, quite frankly, millions of dollars into updating some very antiquated systems. And so one of the things I wanted to make certain that you were aware of, since you're kind of stuck with me, is that we're committed in procurement to trying to find ways to make your attempts to be partners with the county as efficient and to be as speedy as we can in the process. But most importantly, as taxpayers, we want you to have faith in the process. I'm okay, and I get that in a competitive process, and that's what it is, make no mistake about it, I always bristle when there's not competition. I love to see a tab sheet with 5, 6, 10, 12 names. It really gets me excited. When there's only one or only 2 people show up to the pre-bid conference, I'm asking questions. I need to know what was wrong. Why? Because I know you want to make money, and I'm telling you we're going to spend it. So if you're not interested, I'm really intrigued to know more about why not. But in terms of being a partner to help get you there, it's really critical that you keep us informed of where and how we can do a better job to be a preferred place of doing business. And what I'm going to tell you is that I haven't read not one of the great talking points that Simona gave me, because it would not be believable anyway. So I'm going to let her talk about all of the good IT stuff and just, again, impress upon all of you that the county is open and ready to do business with all sorts of folks. We're committed not only to the MWBE program, we're committed to local vendors. We're committed to making certain that the county can be the best that it can be in terms of delivering services and staying true to the mission as outlined, or as the president outlined when she first came on board with Cook County, and as the 17 board commissioners keep us honest to as well. So again, I want to thank the GTF for being such strong partners with that and making certain that we have access to vendors such as yourself so that we can continue the dialogue to ensure that as we make changes at Cook County that we're doing it in an effective way. So it is true. I often give out my phone number and my card, and I tell people if you want to come in, if you want to talk about the process, if you want to tell me what is or is not working on a current contract, on a bid solicitation, provided that it's not advertised. That's really key. I will not talk to you about anything that's currently on the street. But if you want to talk about any of our past contracts, any of our upcoming contracts, please, I encourage you to see me or pick up a business card. I tend to return phone calls late in the evening. I see a couple of folks here who I've had conversations with after 6:30 or 7, but I am more than happy to have you come in. I believe strongly that it's not an honor or privilege to meet with your public officials or people who are in departments, because the truth is I work for you. It's your tax dollars that pay my salary, and I am committed to ensuring that the process is better. And I want to thank you again for having me today. Again, Simona, the floor is wide open for all these talking points she gave me because I didn't say any of them. So thank you for having me.
We are so excited, and then we have been going over time limits, so we have to size it back. So let me introduce two heads of chair of the committees that have been working very hard, and they have few words to say. So here comes Mrinalini Lakshmi Narayanan, sorry. She is the chairperson of the technology committee, and a lot of passion and an unimaginable amount of work went into what you are seeing today and what you will be seeing going forward. A little bit background about Mrinalini. She is a Global Advanced Service Delivery Lead at Zebra Technologies. Over 18 years of experience, industry experience, and looks like 16 herself, so I don't know the secret behind her. And 18 years of experience in delivering innovative solutions to government agencies globally. Successfully introduced more than 10 leapfrog technology products. She has been on the board of startups to establish turnaround strategies. She has successfully developed different business models and lead multi-vendor solution engagement for government, public safety, homeland security, energy, utilities, retail, manufacturing, gosh, everything, and transportation, and logistics. And she is working on Internet of Everything. That's what I call Internet of Everything. And here is Mrinalini Lakshmi Narayanan. She's the chair of Technology Committee.
We've seen that a lot of technologies like Internet, Facebook, Google have transformed how we live today. Obviously, technology does transform lives, makes it easier. We would like to do the same thing for the government. That is what the committee is intending to do. And we plan to do that through collaboration. Not everybody knows everything, so we want to have great minds to come together, collaborate together, to serve our government. So it's about citizens serving the government.
And then I will call in Dr. Jim Jalaman. He also holds a very responsible position at the GTF, which is University Relations. And there a little bit background about Jim. Jim is the CEO of VI Strategy Group. And he is also adjunct faculty member at the University of Illinois, Chicago, Department of Information and Decision Sciences. He has had successful career in industry as a CEO of both public sector and private technology companies. He received PhD from Case Western Reserve University, and his MBA is from University of Minnesota. Extensive experience in not-for-profit sector, serving as on the boards of Tech America, ITA, Chicago Engineers. Okay, we'll go back. He serves on the advisory board of several graduate business schools and on the boards of several private companies. They were gonna have the presentation about the awards that we have, so simply because of the time, don't ignore and see Mrinalini later on for technology, and here comes Jim.
Thanks, Poonam. I'm going to take 1 second. It's okay. Well, we've talked a lot about the public sector. We've talked a lot about the private sector. What we haven't talked about are universities. We have Cynthia here from UIC, great school. And two-legged stool doesn't stand. Universities are the third leg, form the foundation of GTF. Universities can participate in a number of ways. Key source of providing research, developing innovative technologies, as well as users of those technologies. UIC is a public institution as well. So there are other committees. You saw the slide with all the committees listed earlier. They're listed in the program. We would encourage all of you to grab us, go online, grab Poonam, and The organization will survive if the committees are active and successful. So I would encourage everyone to participate in the committees. And I just made 10 minutes into one. Thanks.
So the nomination for the awards will be open from May 1st to July 1st. And if you are connected with the GTF website, you would get the notifications so you can actually nominate the stars. So next, I think I'd like to introduce Aditya Nath. Aditya Nath, or as he's called here, Eddie Nath. I still cannot get to call him Eddie Nath yet. He has led various different companies, entrepreneur. He's a great entrepreneur. He's been leading various different companies for over 20, 25 years, supported government with various technologies, and supported them with business intelligence and transforming workflows and improving the operations not only for government but also for a lot of public sectors. So here is Aditya.
Thank you. That's a great. I would want to call my partner here in crime, Dr. Richard Powell.
Thank you, Eddie. Good afternoon. I've been told that I've got 60 seconds, so I'm going to try to make it in 45. As I said, my name is Richard Powell. I am a member of the board, advisory board. I'm also chairman of the Government Technologies Special Interest Committee. The Special Interest Committee is the oversight organization for special interest groups that we are in the process of organizing. And these special interest groups are chartered by GTF to give the members with similar professional specialties the opportunity to exchange ideas and keep themselves informed about the current and discrete developments in their field. I'm not going to go off into the specific charter. You can see me after the event or during the VIP session, and we can talk in more detail. But some of these special groups that we've already identified are master data management, security, audit and control, hypertext and the web, enterprise applications and shared services, social informatics, networks and telecommunications training, and technology training, something that gets overlooked a lot, especially in change management situations, which we're all familiar with. With that, I'm going to turn it back over to Eddie, and he's going to talk about membership and sponsorship.
Thank you, Dr. Powell. So here is the thing. You know, they talked about three legs of the stool, right? The academia, public sector, the private sector. But what makes it all happen? It's money. You need support. You need sustainability of the great noble purpose that you're here to support every day. So with that, I want to just share with you sort of the philosophy of raising money for this organization. Number one, your contribution will be part of a mission to improve the life of all the citizens in our community and in our society. By helping the government use technology in a much more effective and efficient manner, I think we're going to all help ourselves. So it is a mission-driven contribution and support that I'm seeking from you. I also would like to tell you that we have created a structure that is very inclusive, meaning that you're a small business, large business, or an individual, you will have an opportunity to participate, and I'll show you in a second all those different opportunities. And finally, like any business, ROI. ROI is extremely important. We guarantee you will get the exposure, you will get the value from your investment in this noble cause. So I humbly ask for your support, and I will be calling all of you, and I thank all the sponsors. So don't X me out on your cell phones or put me in your spam bucket, because I will be calling you and I will be chasing you down. So we have, as you can see, a number of levels, lifetime architect. And so I've broken it out into two different categories. For companies that are larger and smaller companies, each one of you gets an opportunity to participate, contribute, and make a difference. Okay? And we can share a lot more detail with you at the cocktail hour, because I think it's easier to ask for money after a couple of drinks. These are the various event sponsorship opportunities. So as you can see, you can participate at whatever level works for you and your organization. With that, I am going to now take this opportunity to introduce our panel. And I would like to invite the panel. And first of all, I want to introduce Amina Elahi, the moderator of our panel. Amina is a reporter at Blue Sky Innovation, where she covers Chicago's startup and innovation ecosystem. She writes about a variety of topics, including Chicago's top entrepreneurs, the way public entities use technology and data, and the social challenges facing this community. She's a graduate of Northwestern University Medill School of Journalism. So with that, Amina.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited about our panel this afternoon. After hearing so much about what you all are working on, I think we should be able to expand on that with this great panel. So I would like to invite our panelists up: Simona Rollinson, CIO for Cook County; Carmen Sandu, the Managing Deputy CIO for the City of Chicago; Kirk Talbot, CIO for Lake County; Rick McGaughey, Regional Sales Director for AST Corporation; and Cynthia Herrera-Lindstrom, CIO at the University of Illinois at Chicago. So I was thinking it might be nice to start off having each of you briefly introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about why technology is important to what you do specifically in your role, and why you're interested in perhaps pursuing public-private partnerships and improving what you're doing with technology. So I'll start off with you.
Thank you. My name is Cynthia Herrera-Lindstrom. I'm the Chief Information Officer at University of Illinois at Chicago. And I have been there 29 and a half years. Started as a student working in the technology field when you could read the screen going by at 300 baud. I have seen technology change, and the rapid change of technology, the disruptive technologies that Rick was mentioning before. And technology is everything. It's everywhere, and you really have to embrace it, or you're going to be left behind. I think in government, and I include myself in it, is we are behind the times in treating technology as a tool that can give us an advantage. And the reason for that is we have a monopoly. So we are the ones that provide services. You like it, you don't. If this website is good or not, you're still stuck with that one because that's the only place where you can go. So I think our responsibility is to treat the customer, in this case the citizens, as customers, and provide the same services that they expect from a company. They should get them from government as well. So we have to evolve. We can't treat ourselves as a monopoly.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carmen Sandu. I'm here to represent the City of Chicago. Big job. I will not talk so much about technology for a minute. I'm sure that we'll have some questions surrounding that. I wanted to talk about the public-private partnership. I think that the public-private partnership comes naturally because we all have the same goals. We want to accelerate the economic growth of Chicago. We want to create jobs. We want to improve our communities. And we want to make Chicago a technology hub. So when Mayor Emanuel came in 2011, we put out the first technology plan ever. And that was an action call for our technology community, basically saying, hello everyone, we want to strengthen the technology innovation ecosystem for Chicago, and we want to improve our residents' future. So that's in all of our hands, and that's why it's going to be easy. So far, the City of Chicago has collaborated and continues to collaborate in a variety of areas, and I'm going to just scratch the surface. If I leave anyone out, please forgive me. Civic technology communities, we engage with over 25 different communities. Community service organization, over 200 community service organizations. Academia and national labs, we engage with startups, we engage with the corporate partnerships. And I'm not talking just through direct vendor partnerships that provide service for the city, but think about the fact that over 50% of all the enterprises in Chicago have a volunteer program, which folks within that particular organization donate their time and their funds to improving our community directly. We have a strong commitment to minority and women-owned businesses. We have strong partnerships with our government partners like the Cook County, Simona sitting right next to me, and also other municipalities. We exchange ideas and information with other municipalities to learn from each other's mistakes. And last but not least, philanthropies. We work with MacArthur Foundation, Knight Foundation, Bloomberg, etc. So I strongly believe in the power of the technology community to change the life of every resident in Chicago. As long as we are working together, we are going to make progress. We have made some progress, but there is definitely still work to be done. So GTF has the right idea and is going to increase the impact on our communities. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Simona Rollinson, Cook County. I see a lot of familiar faces. If we haven't met, please stop by. Let's meet afterwards. I was sitting in your seat only a year ago. After 17 years in private world, I made the transition to the public sector, and it's been an incredible experience. When I started, I was always saying, there is a lot for me to contribute. There is a lot for us to do to transform government to work as a private business. Now, a year later, I also claim that there is a lot for the private business to learn from government. And we can talk about that a little bit later. But of course, innovation in technology is crucial. And I'll give you two numbers, and I'm sure you'll remember them. In the last 2 years, President Preckwinkle has committed $77 million in capital expense to technology. That's a huge number. So 37 million last budget cycle and $40 million in the cycle before that. So obviously, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We believe innovation in technology will help reduce cost, improve operations, and improve services to the citizens of Cook County. Just like most governments are challenged with bringing value to our citizens, so are we, and we believe technology is key to it.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rick McGahey. I am the Regional Sales Director for AST Corporation. We are a local Oracle implementation firm. I want to thank the committee for inviting me. This is actually my first event here. As part of my duties, though, I act as the project executive for the largest collaborative government implementation of ERP in the United States right now, which is happening in Hillsborough County in the city of Tampa, Florida. So for those of you who don't really understand what I'm saying, that's like Cook County and the city of Chicago trying to implement ERP at the same time together. Only on a little bit in Florida, of course, where it's nice and warm. Obviously, as far as this panel, very excited as a citizen. We obviously want our services faster, and we want to pay less taxes. So anything that can come out of the discussions that we have, and probably some of the things we're going to talk about in the questions we could ask, is how do we improve that? How do we make things better for everyone? I've been working with government for over 25 years, as you can tell by my gray hair. And so I've seen a lot of different things from the state level, the local level, and also the city level.
Thank you again for having me here. My name is Kirk Talbot. I'm from a little bit farther north up in Lake County. I think our IT budget is closer to what Cook and Chicago spend on batteries in a year. A little bit smaller. It allows us to be a little nimble, though, and that's one of the things I enjoy about it. Classically trained as a computer science and both a computer science scientist and a linguist. So I've always been fascinated at the opportunity to translate between cultures and worlds. Certainly technology and business needs a translator. That's how I ended up as a CIO. But I spent a better part of a decade in the private sector, consulting and in business operations for IT, and then I spent the second decade in government. And like my colleague here mentioned, government is quite a few years behind in terms of the private sector, so it makes it a low bar for success. You can do some basic things, and it's considered innovative and amazing. So I like having low expectations. But I do see phenomenal potential for those people that can translate between the cultural world of government and the cultural world of business. They have radically different success drivers, and the people that will succeed will be the people that understand how to bring those two successes together so that everybody wins in the partnership.
Great, well, thank you for those quick intros. I want to jump right in and talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you face. Obviously, a few of you talked about the fact that you're behind, you want to catch up, maybe even get ahead. I don't know if that's too much to ask for, but what is standing in your way? I would love to hear from, perhaps Carmen, you could start us off. What are some of the biggest obstacles in your way, and then maybe some of the others can respond to how we might overcome them.
I think one of the most challenging things is keeping staff engaged and keeping talent engaged for a long period of time. So staff retention, I don't think it's a challenge specific to government. I think it spans across all areas. However, sorry, this thing keeps going on and off. One thing that I think that we are uniquely positioned to provide at this point in time to our staff is engaging work, exciting new things to do, things that they can not only say, I have actually partake in making a difference to my community, but also having something that they can personally take satisfaction in from a level of technology that they get access to. I know some of my colleagues said we are a little bit behind. Yes, in some areas we are a little bit behind. However, City of Chicago, I feel that is on the competing edges in some aspects. So in terms of analytics, in terms of big data, I think we are right innovative, right, quite on the accelerated level. We are one of the most engaged cities, and I think the greatest reason for that is the fact that we have an engaged community. We have people that care. There is that Chicago pride that we need to tap into and bring them in and make them translate into technology projects that we do, and bringing those people to work for us.
I'm not going to repeat what Carmen said. Ditto to everything that she said. I'm going to add a new challenge, which is we have a very complex business. We have a lot of projects. I would say the strategy is the easy part, even though the strategy, everybody would say the strategy is more important. Execution in government is challenging because we have a lot of competing priorities. It's very difficult for us to say no. Who do I say no? To the medical examiner, or to the sheriff, or to the clerk? Of course not. So in order for us to execute and hit milestones and be on time, on scope, on quality, and all of those things that we know we should be, we need you. We need to work very closely with our vendor partners, and you need to be easy to do business with. And maybe I can elaborate on this a little bit later, because again, we have big challenges from cybersecurity to legacy technology to disaster recovery to implementing new applications to integrated property, integrated justice, and just to name a few things that I'm doing day in and day out. And obviously, it's key for us to be able to execute better.
I'll add a third challenge. Okay, I'll add a third challenge that I totally agree with the other two. I don't think we're limited in terms of our challenges. But one of the things that I've seen from both the inside and the outside is that it's a cultural challenge. The things that make government successful, conservative, reliable, slow, methodical, typically, are not the kinds of things that make technology innovation successful. And so to be successful at a technology partnership with external nonprofits and for-profits, and even other government agencies for that matter, requires swimming upstream against a culture that is not typically found in government agencies. So I think we have to figure out how to work within the government culture, but also extend and create a culture that'll breed success.
I would like to add to ditto. But I would like two things that I think make some of the things that we want to do challenging. One is the procurement code. It makes it really difficult to work with innovators that are small places. They don't have the infrastructure to respond to the mind-boggling RFPs that we put out. I think that's a challenge that towards innovation. The other one is risk aversion. Because we are a taxpayer organization, we are not very keen on taking on projects that may fail, because that does not look good. And unfortunately, when you innovate, you have to be able to go after the thing that it may or may not work, but when it fails, then it looks bad on you because you have misspent taxpayer dollars. So I think we have to change a little bit of that culture and see how we can include innovation and take risks without looking like a failure when it may not work.
Definitely. It's interesting that you mentioned that. As they said in my introduction, I am a reporter at the Chicago Tribune's Blue Sky Innovation section, and I report on startups, innovation, technology. So I'm talking to people in the world that you want to be working with all the time, and one of their favorite phrases is fail fast. You should embrace failure, let it happen, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back at it again. But it seems like in government and for companies that are trying to work with government, that is not really easy or maybe even possible to do. I wonder if any of you could comment on that and how we might fix that.
One very small way that we've attempted at the City of Chicago to take calculated risks, and I want to highlight and underline calculated risks, not lightly, is through pilots. Introduce the concept of testing out in small pilots any new technology, any new idea, and if that is a success, then implement it as a large project. So that is a calculated risk.
Another way that we're doing that is by opening up the data. So we have, 36,000 students. Many of them very eager to do things better than we are doing it. So by providing access to the data, so for example, we implemented a bus tracking system. Well, one of the requirements was that the system that we implemented had an open API so that the students could go in and do something better than what we did. So I think that's where you bring some of the innovation, you make something available, and then you open it up. And I think the City of Chicago has done a wonderful job with data. They have all sorts of data available. So you can just go in, go at it, and then you can bring in that innovation and the risk and the failures that didn't cost you, that were not a significant amount of money.
I sell it, I don't, no, kidding. I always say that in government, some of the things that I deal with is that, the procurement process is extremely long. And when you take a look at technology, by the time the city or the county or state, whatever it may be across the United States, goes through, and especially the larger, more complex the project is, the further behind you're actually buying and implementing a version of, whether it's software, hardware, whatever it may be, that you're already behind the curve. And that is, one of the things like they were talking about. If there was some way to do a pilot, a calculated risk, that you could then determine, okay, this is going to work, this is not going to work. The challenge that I see is that, and this is what I talk about a lot with my clients, is that in government, you're all the same. You have an input and you have an output. It's everything in the middle that's different, and that's where the challenge is. And because every part of the United States and every entity has different, unique components that it needs to provide for its citizens. That was it.
maybe take a little bit of a different view on innovation. Again, I spend a lot of time in private world where innovation in technology is quite different than in government. So I believe that technology is not the issue. In government, just like in the private world, you gotta innovate in something different, in the business model, in policy. So, in order to be successful, I believe we need to look at the ways to do that in a systemic way rather than on a one-off way. So for example, if we want to integrate the justice systems, there are 38 different exchanges point-to-point between systems, from the jail management to this to the other. What we are doing right now under the sponsorship of the President Preckwinkle and Honorable Dorothy Brown is we signed a memorandum of agreement. You have to put effort on the front end to make sure that you address all the risks and the issues, but once the policy is set, it opens doors to innovation. So I just want to leave you with one parting thought from me. So in government, innovation is not just in technology, but in policy, and it needs to be done in a more systemic way in order to be more sustainable.
Thank you. Does anyone have an example of a public-private partnership that they think is awesome, that the rest of the group can learn something from, and that you wish your organization could, resemble somewhat?
Actually, working at various government agencies, I've had the good fortune of participating in two that were really noteworthy. One was different parts of the U.S., but one was in a transit agency in which we realized we wouldn't be able to nimbly develop the applications and the ways to consume the information that the citizens really wanted fast enough to keep up with the technology. So we took that step back and we said, okay, we're in the business of producing the information, but we're not in really the business of distributing the information. So we worked with a non-profit agency or a not-for-profit organization that took our data streams and made transit systems available via text messaging. This happened 8 to 10 years ago, and it happened because we were able to step back as a government agency and realize what our core competency was and what we weren't good at, and then open ourselves and get out of the way of that space. Once we did open that data up, we then had multiple partners that did it, both for-profit and non-profit. Another model I thought worked really well was we had an opportunity called a grant fund that came down where the money was available. And if we didn't find a good way to spend it, we were going to end up, as I like to joke, it was DHS money, spend money to put chain link fences around chain link fences so that someone wouldn't steal the internal chain link fence. We said that didn't make a lot of sense. It'd be a waste of taxpayer money, but we were stuck. We had to spend that money on a security-related project, and we couldn't see a way to do that. So what we did is we opened up. It was a radically different procurement process. That's why I think it was of note. We opened it up. We pre-qualified some for-profit vendors, brought them in and said, look, we've got a pile of money. We need to spend this in a right way. How should we do it? The vendors participated, blew us away with their capabilities. What they ended up producing was an ability to deploy live video cameras, full motion control, anywhere in our property, and we had over 100 miles of real estate that we had to manage. It was a railroad. But they were able to deploy this technology in an afternoon and be able to provide real-time video surveillance anywhere in the county. But it was something that we never would have come up with until we reached out to that vendor space and said, here's the problem, help us find a way to spend the money.
It's becoming clearer and clearer to me that procurement and selling ideas into the government is difficult. And so I wonder if any of you could shed light on what are some good ways, I mean, you just gave an example, but what are some good ways for non-government entities to bring ideas forth and, prove to you that they would actually be worth taking a chance on?
I'd like to start with one. I'd like to start with one thing, it's in combination to what Kirk said and kind of the last question. Are any of you familiar, and if the city or the county, forgive me, of hackathons? See, I don't know if they're doing them here. Okay, so I know that that some of the ones that I've been in, you bring in some of the best and brightest. You have corporate sponsors for the prizes, and you lock up the college students or innovative young people, whatever it may be, older, it doesn't really matter. And you give them a set of data from your system that's been cleansed, and they go through and you have different issues and problems. You have a committee, and they go through and they develop in 24 hours different applications that really work, that the government can then take and implement quickly. So that's one area that I've seen a lot of around the U.S., and I'm glad that we're doing it here.
America and others we partnered. Yeah, I mean, and we've partnered with a bunch of other, yeah. And also we yes.
Okay, sorry.
Anyway, so I was going to change the conversation more about also working with internships and professional development and bringing some of those ideas within government, because we have to train our own people, as well as create opportunities for college students and high school students, like partnering with CPS and partnering with universities to bring interns to help with our projects, but also have you indoctrinate them early, and hopefully they get a good taste that you can do a lot of great things and they're exposed to great projects in government.
We have the senior students, especially in engineering, have to do a senior project. So again, we throw out the problem and they come up with a solution, and at the end of the day, we have a few choices to do. And hiring the students, I mean, we are a great source of employment for students in the university. We give them, that's something that they will have in their resume, the experience, but they're a great source of ideas for how to do things better and different.
When you're considering being innovative internally, how does that differ from when you're trying to be innovative externally, when you're trying to do something out in your community or something like that? How do you approach those two scenarios differently?
I don't think that they're necessarily differently. I think one has a procurement issue that you have to deal with, the other one you don't. But the problem on how you go about solving it is basically the same. I mean, you have to find the right partner to work with, whether it's internal, the students, or you have an external vendor. I think the way that you go about it is about the same. I mean, there's a problem to solve, and then you find the right partners to work with you.
Small addition is with turn on the microphone. Apparently several. One way that we try to engage directly with the external customers, in our case, the constituents, the residents, are our end users. So I think one way to do that was actually engaging with some of the non-profits, such as the COT group. If you're not familiar with the COT group, there are groups that are made up of residents and within our community that will test an application before it goes live and provide you direct feedback. So that's a way of receiving feedback directly from the residents before an application is being put out there for their usage. Another way of receiving direct feedback from them, and we are looking at that more and more as we are looking at implementing our new 311 system, it's actually receiving their ideas and their feedback surrounding the functionality of that application before actually putting that application in. We had, the city of Chicago has a portal, it's called chideas.org, in which we solicit direct feedback from the residents on a variety of topics, and technology being just one of them. So that is one example of the ways that we try to solicit input directly from an external innovative approach. I think that the end users are going to be the best position to tell you what they really want and tell you how they're going to be using a particular piece of technology or process. And similarly, within our internal processes, we're trying to figure out ways to simplify our processes, including our procurement process. However, some of the rules and regulations are put in place for a reason, and those are to best steward our residents' taxpayer money.
In order to innovate, you gotta listen. So that would be my advice to everyone, including, of course, new CIOs. You gotta get out of your office, you gotta talk to the businesses, whether they're internal businesses to the county, what are their business problems, what are their processes, what are they trying to solve, whether it's a permitting issue, whether it's putting GPS in a snow plow, whether it's a new system that medical examiner is putting because he's trying to, cut 3 hours from the processing time. You gotta really get up close and personal to the business processes in the county internally, but also of the citizens, obviously, and hopefully our businesses are extension to our citizens. So I use our businesses as proxy to our citizens because obviously I can't increase the surface area between my department and the rest of the world so much, but we use the experts in the individual business, whether it's tax, whether it's revenue, whether it's the clerk's office. They need to know their businesses, the business of the courts, the business of the sheriff, the jail, and then obviously we take it from there. And that's how you innovate, through increasing the surface area with the business and the external world.
I think one of the differences that I see between innovating internally versus externally is one of scale. When you go external, as we mentioned, there's greater public risk, there's a perception risk. If you innovate internally, you can potentially affect internal processes that don't take the same level of scrutiny. It may not have to go to the board. It may not have to go to a department head, depending on the nature of it. One of the advantages and disadvantages to being in county government is you have so many different lines of business. We have nearly 30 lines of business that we support. And the reality is each business has different drivers. It has a different culture. And some of those are very recalcitrant to change. So they're not the ones that we go to and talk about innovation. Others are right on the edge and they are eager for change. So we try to approach the internal departments that are eager for change and see how we can work with them, because it ends up moving faster than when we do an innovation that is purely external.
What are some of the traits that you see in those departments that are more poised for innovation, and how can we spread that to some of the other departments?
I would be foolish to name which departments are. You don't get to sit in this chair by being a fool. Or maybe you are a fool to sit in the chair, I'm not sure which. I would say the ones that are very heavily constrained, that have a lot of legal structure around them, be it state, federal, county, maybe potentially municipal. And again, I won't name them, but afterwards I can hint at what they rhyme with. Whereas there are some of the others that are almost more for-profit like. It's not that they're trying to generate a profit, but they operate. For example, I'll give you a positive. Public Works, it's a utility, right? They bill for their services. They're much more like a private sector department than some of the ones that are operating a service for the citizens purely at taxpayer costs. So looking for those departments that look more like a private business, that are very well contained, don't have lots of legal constraints on them, that allows them to move faster. And to your point, the ones where they're not necessarily a monopoly, those have to innovate and move faster.
I'm just going to give a quick example of something. We're working right now with the city of Detroit. I think all of you know what kind of happened in Detroit with the bankruptcy and the takeover by the state and things like that. What they're doing right now, and what a lot of the country is watching, is their transformation. And I'm lucky enough to be able to work with some of the folks there in changing, the business processes, changing their overall structure, and then as they go through and emerge out of this time frame, they're going to be a new, improved government. Now, what's going to happen after that, I can't answer that, but we're trying to make sure in the vendor community that we don't let them fall back into some of the things that they fell into before. So it doesn't directly answer the question, but it gives you some idea of what other areas are looking at, and we obviously don't want Cook County or Chicago in that. As a taxpayer in both Cook and Lake County, I don't want that to happen, and I pay a lot of parking tickets to Carmen's group, so I'm good.
I mean, it's simply put, it's towards progressive leadership. You really respond like my team responds the way they are managed by me. I respond the way I am managed. So it starts from the top. You gotta have progressive leadership in the line of business, in the agency, and then things fall better. And of course, if there are statutory and regulatory limitations, obviously there is a layer of headwinds and complexity. But by and large, you know, we can't implement technology for the sake of technology. You don't want to jam it in because it just defeats the purpose. I don't want to be anywhere where the business is not driving. I mean, it's doing disservice to the taxpayers if we are driving innovation from a technology standpoint alone. It needs to be driven from a business standpoint.
I completely agree with Simona. The value is what is going to drive any technology implementation. So working with various departments to find out what really they need is what is going to be where we're going to move next.
Ditto. No, I agree, and I agree with Simona in that you set the example by what you do internally, and you can't go and innovate with another unit when you are stuck in the 80s. And I agree with Kirk, you take the unit that you think it's apt and ready for innovation, for changing the way that you do things, and then you use them as an example. And you want to have in the head of that somebody that is really gung-ho about it, because then they will be your advocates, right? They will go and talk to everyone else about the wonderful things that you did for them and how everything was improved. So that's the kind of folks that you want to get started with, because that's a win, and then the other ones tend to follow.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're going to open it up to the crowd. Does anyone have a question? All right, I'll come back.
I have a question about project management methodologies. Is any of the representatives of the government there, are you using any formal project management methodologies for execution of the project? I know execution has been mentioned as a point of interest, and if so, what are the experiences?
Yes, we are using formal project management methodologies. Depending on the type of project, we use both agile and waterfall methodologies.
Internally, we have a PMO group. I'm particularly proud of having a formalized PMO office. They are my lifeline. Obviously, we have a formal dashboard and milestones because you gotta know where you are, otherwise all roads will get you there. So, but from an external standpoint, we do not dictate to our partners, you are our partners, what methodology you're using in your shops, because obviously it's your prerogative. We're working with you, and we have milestones, deliverables, and how you run your business, and what you've adopted is up to you.
Anyone else?
Ditto, I guess. Well, I would say we're a recent, not a recent convert to, but we're recently established a PMO within Lake County. And I'd say it's a lifeline, it's critical to success. What we found though is strict adherence or religious adherence to a specific methodology doesn't always work. Situations change so quickly that we often find ourselves tweaking the methodologies. And in fact, one of the things we've done internally is we've established, Gartner calls it bimodal or two-speed IT. We've established a group within our group that focuses on very rapid implementations of low-risk, high-value activities. And in that space, they almost have to innovate on the methodologies as well because it's moving so fast. But it's very positive.
And talking from the business model, what I think it could be more beneficial is in government to make more efficient is to have a subject matter expert from industry, well-known industry area, and streamline the process to the point where all these procurement documents and RFQ and all these things are moving in government layer by layer, probably make a quicker decision through people with a subject matter expert from different industry. I think that could be more beneficial. I know the PMO process and everything is fine and dandy, but if it doesn't really move fast enough, then it's going to be bogged down as kind of a risk. So I think you probably should consider hiring some well-known people in business, subject matter expert, to expedite the process.
And I totally agree. That's why we're working with you as an extension to our staff. It's easier to do that on the projects around infrastructure. I mean, obviously, you're the experts. That's why we need your expertise on voice over IP and designing disaster recovery or having a tier 3 or 4 data center or whatever we need. We put the SLAs. As long as we have ability to talk, you can help us do those things. It's more complex on the business side. Cook County, we collect and print $12 billion. We've done it on time and in the last 2 years. So I'm particularly proud of this. Maybe it's not a big deal. It's the barrier of entry, but it is a big deal for a lot of the local folks that are waiting on the money to be able to pay teachers. So anyway, I'm a little bit deviating here, but what I wanted to say is we have a complex tax law. And we have many people that are working on this. We have an assessor, we have a recorder of deeds, we have a clerk, we have board of review, and we have a treasurer. We have 5 separately elected officials, elected by the people. So they have their individual processes that fit into each other. So we need them to play together in the sandbox to come up with a new integrated property. And that's why I talked earlier about policy. So subject matter expertise is one thing. Yes, you want to optimize the process, and maybe we can re-engineer the process to cut steps. But where the true innovation will come is if you look in a more holistic way from end to end through the whole text generating process. And that's a bit of a complexity to bring somebody from the outside that does not really understand tax law in Cook County.
Just one thing that I've seen kind of experimented with is where an organization, a government, did bring in outside independent people who were experts in the field. And like Simona said, they came up with a decision on a solution, but it didn't fit the needs of the government because they didn't understand what the government actually did. So, I mean, it has been experimented with here in the US, I can tell you that for sure.
I would like to say we have 3,500 experts on campus called faculty members. That's a good thing and a bad thing. It depends. Some of them think they know better because they know the nitty-gritty details of the academia part of what you're trying to do. And it's like, no, the question is much simpler than what you think. You're going down into the weeds, and that's not what we are asking. So sometimes they can be very beneficial, and sometimes they think that they know better.
All right, well, I think we're out of time, so I'll run back over here. But thank you again to the panelists for sharing your knowledge and insights.
And you clearly heard 3,500 experts and the other side of the spectrum, that you have to be so specialized that you are not needed there. So that's where the GTF comes into picture in the middle to connect, where the issues are known. These are very smart people, and it does not come easy for them to get it all together. A company like my company, ICA, the data management, we go through a huge amount of data, and when we see that there is a need, okay, there is a budget cut that can impact county care. Well, how can we fix that? We can't fix it if we don't have our data aligned. So, but as an individual company, we can't go and reach there. So I will give an analogy of the leadership of all of you that is provided is like how you have seen the birds. They go in arrow and they switch. And each one's wings get little support and still go forward. So that's the leadership that we vision with you in GTF. Thank you to all our patrons. We have a surprise for you. We have our favorite, Jamie Ree. To say so.
Yeah, she's the Chief Procurement Officer for the City of Chicago. Thank you.
Thank you, and I am certainly not the best for last, I can tell you that. Well, thank you so much. I just want to commend Poonam and Ellen for all the work that they've done. They've been very close partners with the city, and we've developed this relationship now for several years. They have brought so many ideas to me and are constantly advocating for small business, small minority and women-owned businesses to be able to participate in technology. And I'm sure you heard from the city that there's a lot that our CIO has been doing to break those contracts down into manageable pieces that we can actually bid exclusively. Let's give it a round for technology IC over here. But Brenna has done an extraordinary thing. And the first thing she came in as CIO, she came to me and said, we need to work together. There's been far too long that the small minority and women-owned businesses are overlooked. And we need to make sure that they're participating at a level that is representative of the population. And so I know she probably talked about the board, the technology board, but there are so many things. And I'm just gonna give my department a plug if I could. Out there on your way out, there is a buying plan that we forecast all purchases, including DoITS, which is our information and technology, what they plan to purchase over the next 15 months, as well as all other city departments. And so I really want you to take a look at it. It's broken out, easy for you to look, technology, commodities, professional services. And then also there's a Save the Date card. We have a huge event on June 3rd, which we will have the city, the county, and I know you heard from Shannon. We partner in collaboration with her as well. The state, all the sister agencies, and it's one-stop shop. So I would encourage you all to mark your calendars, and those are out at the thing. And again, thank you, and to such a great, successful event. You guys are rock stars. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. Shannon, what is up with me? Jamie, you all wanted this one. So she's going to hang around for a few minutes. So last person up, I'll let Poonam do Arnold, and then we'll be ready for the session.
When Jamie shared the good stuffs waiting out there, which is better than food, it's the possible contracts that a lot of us can win. I have another good announcement to make before I bring up the cream of the top, and you have to wait for that. And that is from the GSA and SBA score. There are flyers out by the door. So they have an event coming up, doing business with the federal government. Join us to discover resources to support your business. And it is Friday, April 10th in Chicago. So the rest of the information, you can find it on the flyers out there and in the GSA website. So we want a lot of federal contracts. All right, so with that, let me introduce my hero, one of my heroes. And he is not only has the intellect that I came to respect, but the willingness to give freely. Arnold Crater, CIO of and Deputy Executive Director of Regional Transportation Authority. Arnold has about over 25 years of experience in technology field, and he is responsible for the daily operations of agency information systems. In his role, he is responsible for IT services, including engineering, help desk, infrastructure, business applications, telecommunications, multimedia, production, and information resources. Prior to RTA, he was executive director for IT for Illinois and Maths and Science Academy, Aurora, IMSA. And I'm proud to say my daughter stays there. He was responsible for IT services, including the integration of technology in curriculum, which is a big thing. And he has held positions in Accenture as a senior manager and worked at Motorola as the director of worldwide technology support. He has 8 US patents for new product innovation. And finally, he's a product of local Chicago public schools, Arnold's bachelor's and master's degree in mechanical engineering from University of Illinois, Chicago, and MBA from Northwestern. So all local, pure person from here, Arnold Crater.
Hey, thank you, Poonam. You know, I'm glad I saw your innovation presentation because I grew up on the south side of Chicago, and the guy that was following me around in all the stores that I went to, that was actually the start of the innovation according to your presentation. That was pretty good. Right, yeah. You know, first I'd like to just, I'd like to thank the honored guests who are here, and just once again, and also like all of the people who were, since we kind of over time, I just want to like all the folks that are involved in GTF to just stand up and be recognized. The founders, the board of directors, the current members, volunteers, organizers. All right, thank you for your hard work. And as you guys know, it's difficult to say no to Poonam and yeah. When they ask you, you have to stop whatever you're doing and come take care of them. You know, one thing that I have a slight problem with, but is the use of the word technology. We overuse that word, and I view technology as should be transparent. No, I don't care what we're talking about, whether it's education or whether it's government services, whatever. If we're talking about technology, I think we're missing the boat. We're down on the wrong hill. You know, we're storming the hill, and the citizens or the students, or they're in another place. If we're talking about what's in the, how many servers we have, or the email account, those are capabilities that at the end of the day really don't matter. And I'm glad Simona was talking about the business case, because I grew up as an engineer designing products, and at Motorola, if you guys know, we're in a different place now, but we used to create technology that creates new markets, and we used to lead with technology, and you see what happens when you do that. Eventually you put out a business. We used to sell cell phones. We manufactured cell phones and sold them for less than it cost us to make them. So even though it was an $8 billion business, just a cellular business, we lost on the volume. It was just the math was all messed up. But we were able to hide that because we led with technology. So one thing that I want you guys to really understand is there's a fundamental difference between private sector and public sector. In the private sector and in academia, which is still kind of public, but you guys are, elitist and things like that. So you have some other issues you got to worry about.
I'm glad you graduated from UIC.
And I went to UIC. Yeah. Right. So what's important to understand is that we have a general understanding of the private sector, that's focused on delivering shareholder value, and making a profit. And actually in the private sector, you get to sell your services at the I'm not loud enough?
No, because they cannot record.
Oh, okay. You just got all that on the recording. You know that, right? But basically, in the private sector, in addition to only focusing on shareholder value and making a profit, you get to sell your products at the price that the market will bear, and to whom can afford it. If you can't buy a hamburger or a Big Mac from McDonald's, it's like big deal. Or if you can't afford a private education, really, it's, they're gonna still provide those services. So in the public sector, the public sector is responsible for providing services for the public good and to all its citizens, whether they can afford them or not. That's what you guys need to understand. So because some of this stuff impacts how technology, the decisions that are made, and how technology is implemented, or how technology may lag, and hopefully I'll get to that in a second. But anyway, so for the actual citizen who can afford it's their right, basically their statute that dictates that the public service and that how we deliver public services. And typically, those services are provided at a discount or at a price less than it costs to actually deliver those services within the public sector. So that's a real important point I want you guys to kind of understand, because it drives everything. Now, So why is it that government agencies are sometimes considered to be lagging as it implements technology? And actually, one thing that you guys also want to understand is that every government agency that I've been around have hired some of the smartest people on the planet. You know, so whether they're expert, all of the subject matter experts, believe me, they're in the government organizations. They're not just hiring people off the street. They're very well educated. They're subject matter experts in their area. They are not lacking on hiring experts and very smart people. But what you have to understand is that the public sector ecosystem is different and far more complex than the private sector or in academia in that case. So that's a point I want you guys to kind of understand. But so why is it that technology is always considered to be lagging in the public sector? And that's also a fallacy, because if you look at most of the agencies, we're doing some stuff. You know, in every agency, they're not that far behind. And some agencies are probably, you know, more further along that have more money. The city, the county. You know, I completely overhauled my infrastructure. You know, we're doing everything. We're current. We implemented, you know, UCS. We have our own private cloud. You know, so we're doing the things that that from a technology standpoint that that you guys consider we might be behind. We're not really that far behind, but we have some other issues that Simone actually alluded to that impact, you know, the decisions that are made. In the government environment, you know, each of the government agencies have to make choices, and they have to shift resources around to provide services for citizens at a price, like I said, typically below the cost to deliver those. And we have to sometimes maintain assets well beyond their useful life. And that's because there's multiple reasons for that. One, those assets tend to last a long time. You'll probably, even though most of the organizations are doing things new, you'll probably find, you know, some mainframe computers around. They're still running. You'll probably get on a train, and I'll be honest, Metro still has some 30-year-old trains that are still running. However, one of the things that you need to understand that between public and private sector is, like, if the airline services, if an airplane doesn't fill all of its seats, they'll just say, oh, we have an engine malfunction and that plane won't take off. But if only one person shows up to ride the train, that train still has to run. And don't let the weather impact that, because, don't let us have to, if we try to raise our price, the price of a ticket, because remember that the public sector only can provide their services to citizens at a price that can be tolerated. That's the fundamental versus, you know, the price that the market would bear. It's the price that the citizens can tolerate. So we can't just increase our prices to cover our costs, because if you see that, right, you know, elected officials will receive tremendous amounts of pressure if they attempt to raise taxes to cover more of our costs, or we attempted to raise the price of a ticket. So we have to deliver those services at a discount to our citizens, because it's their right. Actually, it's the right thing to do. So we have to eat those costs. And the government environment has to respond to crisis. You know, within transportation, the recovery ratio for a trip within the 6-county northern Illinois region, which is where RTA, C-Tier Metro, and PACE operate, we provide a little over 600 million rides per year at a recovery ratio of a statutory recovery ratio around 50%. So you can ride the bus for $2 just about anywhere in the city, but that ride actually costs about $5. You can ride the train for about $5, you know, just about anywhere in the city and throughout the county, but that ride actually costs about $11. So those are the things, the decisions that have to be made that forces government agencies to unintentionally neglect technology. Because you have to focus on those things that matter at a different level. And the optics, and actually optics in government is a big thing, because we can't spend a lot of money on certain things if our citizens are, in a certain place. So it just wouldn't look well. So we may not even though we have the money to spend on technology, sometimes we can't do certain things because the optics of it, if there's a crisis, if there's a flood. The Water Reclamation District, which is, a large entity that probably is kind of taken for granted. And I'm sorry to go here, but the Water Reclamation District, which was primarily responsible for managing the safety of our drinking water in Lake Michigan and managing the pollution throughout the waterways, has 7 wastewater treatment plants throughout the county, or throughout Cook County. They manage over 1 billion gallons of biosolids per day. For residents, and that travels through 560 miles of sewers throughout the county, which has about 10,000 connections from the local municipalities throughout the city. However, and if they went out of business or they stopped, and they provide those services at a tremendous discount, if they stopped, the disease would just run rampant, and the trains will stop. Everything will eventually stop if they stop doing what they're doing. So they have to deliver those services. And then if you get a big rain, the floods, or we get a not a solar vortex, but a winter vortex that we had last year, and the trains are late or they're absent, that makes the news. But if you're on the airline and they decide they don't want to fly, they just tell you, and you'll get a cot and go to sleep and won't say anything. I mean, really. So I don't want to take too much time, because I could rant about this stuff all day. But there are some internal fundamental things that impact the lag in technology. Traditionally, IT has some new people and some new blood in IT organizations, which is making a difference. But historically, IT departments have been focused on delivering reactive capabilities, primarily because they're focused on crisis. And also traditional IT managers or CIOs have struggled to present the true business case. So as a result, the business units have they still have to do their work. They have to get their things done. So IT in the past, now we have a new breed of IT people, are now, we're changing things, we're aligning, we're partnering with the business, which is most of them. You have to drive, the business has to drive these things. I tell my business unit that my opinion doesn't count. I don't care what I do or when I do it. The priorities are given to me by the business. But if I led with technology, I can do it. Technology, at the end of the day, is easy. I mean, anybody can install technology, but an implementation is something totally different. It's totally different. So I'll just kind of end that general rant with that. But I just want to generally say that there is a gap here that the Government Technology Foundation is filling, and that this knowledge transfer and this sort of grassroots understanding of how the public sector works. Even procurements. And there's one thing. One of my chief procurement officer. And I'll just say this one last thing. I was attempting to purchase something on a spec-based bid about a week ago, and they tossed out all of my low-cost bidders for various reasons. They were non-responsive. They said, we didn't want to comply with your contract. Just little things, but the rules that we have don't allow any negotiation when it's a spec-based bid. And they wanted to award to somebody that was offering the contract at almost 3 times what we had budgeted. But the spec-based bid process forced it. That's how we end up with the $500 hammer. It's because the guys at the low end, probably they got tossed out because of various reasons within their response, or they were just deemed non-responsive. So the procurement rules in government are totally different. The transparency law, there's some things that this organization needs to teach small businesses how to respond to RFPs, how to be responsive, how the things, so there's this education, this knowledge transfer is, we have to sort of circle the wagons around the citizens, if you will, and teach all of these entities or stakeholders how to do business in this space. We're totally transparent and open. And there's nothing you can't find out about a government agency. The things that I just rattled off about the Water Reclamation District, I just look it up. You should be coming to us and telling us what our problems are. It's all out there. I mean, you can FOIA just about anything you want to FOIA, but don't get carried away with that. But you can. I mean, you can. So, just in closing, the Government Technology Foundation, it's really at a good place right now, and Poonam and Ellen, who really drive, and another reason why I'm here, in addition to all these other folks, is that they never talk about their companies when they're talking about this stuff. This is really for the good of other small businesses, so that's one of the charters for this organization. This organization really wants to be the trusted advisors to government leadership and even staff, because everyone needs some not education, but some knowledge on how to do things. For our vendor community, our minority community, we need to share and transfer knowledge so that we can make the entire ecosystem work better. So, having said that, I'd just like to say that this has been really good for me because, I think all of us are a product of our environment, and when you hang around with smart people, some of it has to rub off on you. So I'm just hoping that happens. So, that's really that's all I have for today. I just want to say thanks for coming, and yeah, and I'm gonna do that next after I close this one. Yeah, you see you jumping ahead. You read my notes. But anyway, so I'd just like to say in closing, thanks for coming, and I appreciate the opportunity to participate, and I'm excited about the Government Technology Organization. And note of business is that for those of you who are registered for the VIP reception, it will be immediately following this one, and the volunteers will show you to the designated area. Thank you.
for watching Government Technology Foundation video. Government Technology Foundation is not another foundation to go and have the network. Here we are to make the changes that are way overdue from the point of view of the government to be more efficient. The policies that were made 10, 20, 30, 50 years back are not going to help. We have to empower the government buyers, the entrepreneur community, and the private sector, public sector, academia have to come together to make the changes, the rules. The way to do it is join the platform as a member, as an advisor, sponsors, or the community leader. We do appreciate and reward the innovation from the grassroots level. We have 4 innovation awards. One is Young Innovation Award that goes to Young Innovation Network, we call it YIN, for the people in the community to take their innovation to the market before they have to worry about the venture funded support or anything else. Second one is WIN, Women Network Award. The same thing for the women innovators. And the third is Big Impact Award. The organizations that devote their time, resources, tool to make this vision work. And then Leadership Award. The Leadership Award is for the individuals who make the big difference in making the GTF vision come true. A place where you make a difference for your generation and the coming. Giving back to the community and getting back in return. Visit www.governmenttechnologyfoundation.com and be connected. Thank you.